We're turning our attention to rugby, and particularly English rugby at the moment. I'm delighted to say Will Greenwood is with us this morning. Will, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm just looking on ways. I'm off to be junior assistant water boy for the Barbarians against the All Blacks, and I'm working with Ronan this morning and Razor Robertson. So always a privilege and an honour to be involved with the Barbarians. We're playing at White Hart Lane on Sunday, and I get to see two of the best coaches in the world, Razor Robertson and Ronan O'Gara, up close and personal for 3 or 4 days, which is going to be great fun.
Will they, do you think, be like desperately keen to impress each other by telling everything that they know about everything, or will they be a little bit cards close to the chest? I'm not going to give you all my best moves here.
I mean, I think if you remember, they worked pretty closely at Crusaders. So I would imagine they would be very, very open. Certainly the way I chat to them about rugby when I come across them is ideas, themes, opportunities, areas that sides are missing. So, again, I think it's... I think that the reality is this week's a lot of fun. It's a little bit Corinthian. A little bit old school. They met last night. I couldn't make the first meeting, so there's always a worry for the first training session with the Barbarians, how dusty they might be this morning. But it's still a jersey a lot of players around the world would like to wear.
Did you play Barbarians?
Yeah, I did. I captained the Barbarians, and we got beat by Scotland in 2006. But I played in the Peace International in 1996, organised by Hugo McNeil.
Wow.
At the Old Lansdowne Road. And I played in the midfield, wait for it, with Philippe Sella. I had Eric Rush, Stephen Bashop, most of the Leicester front five in front of me. And I don't want to exaggerate, I think we beat Ireland by 60 points.
That's not very peaceful, Will.
No, well, I know. I don't. We had this most extraordinary team. I was actually on the bench covering Philip de Glanville, and he pulled his hamstring after 5 minutes. I was the uncapped player, and I ran on. And I seem to remember I picked up an intercept and went in from 60 yards, and I thought, oh. And then we had a half-decent night out in Dublin. Well, we'd had a half-decent week in Dublin, to be fair, in the build-up. And I thought, I need to get fit and stay strong and do more of this because this is fun.
Philippe Sella, what a player.
Yeah, man. I come from an era. I actually, in a charity game later that year, I played against someone who I reckon was maybe better. And you're thinking, what? You must be smoking something. I played against Danny Herbert in the summer of that year. And if the kids don't know who Danny Herbert is, I mean, the YouTube videos are a little bit grainy. It's not Ultra HD when he was playing. And obviously the world didn't see a lot of him because of South Africa and apartheid and being excluded from a lot of international sport. But boy, oh boy, oh boy. I mean, he was a combination of Gibbs and Guscott, just to give you an idea. So much wheels and so much power. And then I got to start my career. My first 3 test matches went opposite man, Tim Horan, Frank Bunch, Yarpy Mulder. And I was thinking, I need to do some weight.
Yeah, the Ireland team in the mid-90s probably not a good testing ground to prepare you for Horan and Bunce in particular.
But I'd rather play against Ireland then than Ireland now. Oh my God, they're so good.
We're pretty good, aren't we? We're like terrified about the fact that we're this good a year out from a World Cup again.
Look, I mean, so you are, right? And the supporters might be, trust me, those players aren't. I mean, when you're in a camp like that, look, remember I was in an England team that had been battered in the quarterfinal in 1999. Everyone thought we were rubbish. But we thought we were quite good internally between the 4 walls, and we just kept getting better and better and better and thought about the next Saturday. This Ireland team, they've been good for a long time, and they have the ability. I think the real test of endurance for them would be the team, certainly the backline at the moment, their interchangeability. I mean, to finish with sort of Keenan, Balakoon, Young O'Brien comes on, the nines rotate, that flexibility that they've got means you're not totally and utterly solely reliant on the same 5 players being out on the field. And that cut, copy, paste ability to drop players in at the last possible moment. I mean, your inside centre went, where did it go? Henshaw, McCluskey, and then on comes O'Brien, and he wasn't even involved in the 23 2 days before. So I love what I'm seeing. I think you've got a bucket full of World 15 players. You know exactly what you're doing. You're ferociously tough. Your breakdown's epic. I mean, look, I'm saying on this. Did you get a little lucky on Saturday? First trot out, like a lot of Northern Hemisphere teams, struggled a little bit and just got the, I don't know, Holby kicking didn't help. And then I think the build-up to your brilliant try up the left-hand side, Matt Hanson, you know, you kicked it through the ruck.
Yeah.
And any other given day, that comes back. And it's so, the reality is, at the moment, that doesn't matter. You've beaten the World Cup champions. But I think what it tells you is, and certainly for the players who aren't worried about a World Cup, but do know they've got to keep getting better and potentially just sort of in a sort of Neo from the Matrix way, just sort of dodged a little bullet on the weekend. But that sets you up for an epic autumn.
You hope that becomes their hallmark of the team as opposed to some other previous teams where that goes the opposite direction. Can I just ask you about Mike Catt? Because when Mike Catt joined, after 4 or 5 games, it was COVID and the stadiums were empty and the team were transitioning from their previous style to a newer style, which was keep ball alive, definitely try and offload if the offload is there, and try and attack in waves, while at the same time keeping some of the fundamentals of the Joe Schmidt era. There were calls for Mike Catt, like, what's he doing? Who is this guy anyway? Where's the signs of any evidence? And now all of a sudden it's like, well, Mike Catt's a genius. How will he have responded to that whole period, do you think?
Cassie. Yeah, there's a variety. There's a public way he'll have responded, right? Which will have been, no, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to knuckle down. Now I hear everything you're saying. And then privately, you don't know Mike Catt that well. Oh my God, he could pick a fight in a monastery, that kid. Just so competitive, so sure in a positive way of his own ability. The skin as thick as a rhino. I mean, he's proper tough, Mike Catt. So I hope that answers the question. He understands the way the media works. He understands the way the world works. He understands he's a South African-born Englishman who's coming over to coach an Ireland team that wanted them to play like Leinster immediately, certainly behind the pack, and he's got to put his own thumbprint on it. It would take a little bit of time to change. But privately, I mean, they're all, if you look at that coaching staff, Farrell, I mean, of all the coaching staffs you wouldn't want to have a fight with, it's Ireland. I mean, Farrell, O'Connell, Easterby, Catt. I mean, bring all your mates and make it a long fight.
Is Catt's philosophy, do you like? Is that something that has always been what he wants? Because, like, my memory of him was a kicking out half who would run a game.
Oh, come on, you're better than that. Mike Catt, a kicking fly half.
Is that unfair?
What have you been watching, mate? Catt would go from his own try line. Right. I mean,
okay.
He would run from anywhere. What he played was, what can I see in front of me? Is there an opportunity? And he came alive. No question, his impact in extra time in the World Cup, huge. No question, away from home when you needed to go to the wall against some strong sides, winning Paris, winning South Africa. You want Mike Catt. World Cup, make another final, 07 with a pub team, Mike Catt. This boy, you might not be his biggest fan, right? Whoever's listening in Ireland, but trust me, you want him on your team. He is a simply awesome human being with a really, and I say this the right way, not an illegal, but a nasty edge that makes him a winner.
The thing, Will, I would notice about that Irish coaching setup is you feel like the players are being allowed to express themselves. When you contrast that with England at the weekend, and look, you shared a screenshot towards the end of the game, 71 minutes, point in it, drop goal, could have been an option in years gone by and wasn't taken. Has free thinking been almost coached out of this England team at the minute?
No, look, like all things in life, right? we want to make things binary, right? Looking at the States this morning, is it red? Is it blue? Where do you stand on particular issues? I think you have to create a conversation about the conversation. I have to look at nuance and understand that there's obviously an element of confidence being drained from this current England time when they come under pressure. And therefore, when your confidence drains, you tend to go back into routine. What am I being told? Stay alive. Do the things that don't necessarily are representative of the picture you're seeing in front of you. And look, without bringing this back, but if I talk about that team, there were times when we really, really struggled. And it was like, oh my God, what do we do next? And when that happens, you stop playing, you stop looking, you stop seeing space, you stop making the right decisions, and things sort of counter and roll on. And I just think over the course of last week, I actually at half-time, I thought England were good last week up until half-time. I mean, it was only 16-12. I thought they played well. I thought they played pace. They got Stewart into the game. The pack was going great. The scrummage was solid in the first half. And then just things unravel. A thread became loose. And from there, the discipline goes a little bit. You chase the game. You're not seeing space. Your set piece goes. And before you know it, you're staring at a 30 points to 29 defeat. Now, it's not baby out with bathwater time. But the problem is when you're an England team who's been struggling and when you're a coach who invites comment, that the whole thing just has a multiplier effect when things go wrong. And England are in that position at the moment. And the conversation won't go away about Eddie. The conversation won't go away about the fly halves. They don't understand why Mario Toja is playing in the back row. So all these things that disappear when you pick an O'Brien and a Balakoon and these players who come in and do such a fabulous job for you. When you win, these guys are great. When you lose, it's tough. So I hope I'm not avoiding the question. I'm just sort of trying to say that when things are going well, it's that marginal gains keep building on each other. The same thing happens in reverse when things are going badly. And at the moment, I just think these England team are stifled by the pressure, by their inability to pick win after win after win together.
Does Eddie Jones care about that external, or does it reach a point where he actually has to be cognizant of it?
Look, I mean, I think I was at the game, but I think I saw him go on. I thought he went on Amazon Prime afterwards. He came out this week and said, look, I had an eye on the World Cup and I didn't focus enough on Argentina. Another bloke who's, I was with James Haskell doing some pre-match stuff on the weekend. And, he says, look, Eddie's been to 3 World Cups and Eddie's made 3 World Cup finals. Now, he wasn't always head coach. I get that, but he was head coach twice. And so he's got a track record. The problem is how long do you maintain with the track record and how long do you look elsewhere? The other thing is, by the way, is don't give me a good general, give me a lucky general. And I'm not saying he's landed in muck and come up smelling of roses, but you look up at that World Cup draw. I think Wales are the top seeds in the other pool. I mean, and because when the draw was done, and they're in tier 3 of World Rugby right now. They're the 9th best team in the world. Australia are in with them, and England have got Argentina in their group. Compare that with the other side, and you go South Africa, Ireland, and New Zealand, France. So two unbelievable teams. And in reality, the 4 semi-finalists are in the same half of the draw. The top 4 teams, a year out from the World Cup, are in the same half of the draw. If World Rugby doesn't need a quiet slap to say, you can't let that happen. In the meantime, the English fans are going, well, hold on a sec. We don't play any of those lot till the semi-final. Then happy days.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to get to the semi-final. We've just lost to Argentina, so we could go out in the group stages. So I hear everyone in Ireland shouting at the TV. But if you do the maths and go, you're the 5th best team in the world, and numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 are in the other side of the draw, then
I'm with Haskell. I think Eddie Jones is a World Cup coach, and I think that he'll be able to get stuff right in the few weeks in advance of it. And it's a really long tournament. That's the other thing. We were looking at the schedule. It's like 5 weeks for the group stages. You have a week off in the middle of it. It's phenomenal. Listen, we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of the Babas. That sounds like it's going to be some week.
Yeah, some fun. I'm actually going to enjoy on Wednesday, Thursday. Then I've got some bits and pieces to do. I'm in the real world now. Although I am having some fun. I'm allowed to. I don't know how many of your listeners are on TikTok. But I am having some fun with a mate. It's non-sponsored. We're just, because I get to go to all the games. I went to Cardiff, New Zealand on the weekend. I just took a mate along who's quite a good filmmaker who's in this TikTok world. And so we are at Rugby Mates on TikTok. And it's a sort of story of the day. We had a fabulous day in Cardiff, a less fabulous day in terms of result of Twickenham. But again, meeting some amazing people. And this week we're pitch side before the game, just getting unbelievable insight with a non-commercial hat on. It's just a real look behind the scenes on test match days at international venues. So at Rugby Mates on TikTok is, if you like a giggle and if you're into that sort of thing, give us a follow.
Good stuff. Great to have you with us, Will. Thanks a million. Cheers.
Cheers, gang.
It's Will Greenwood there. Very interesting stuff. Mike Catt sounds like exactly the type of guy we want on our side. Yeah.